and like thinking that I was in the middle of a fight. And I had a real problem when we have this LAN room set up here with Quake on it. And when we got into it where my addiction got re-sparked again, we were playing 2, 3, 4 hours a day, I was starting to have Quake dreams. It was really weird. Like, I'd have dreams that I was going down corners and dodging rockets, and it's just, that game is so immersive, and it's so, you get done with it, and your heart is pounding. Like, me and Jamie and Jeff would play, and then when it was over, we would all be out of breath. Our heart would be racing. We'd have to get up and walk around. This is the game,
This is it.
This is the game. Yeah, dude, it is a fun-ass fucking game. It's called Quake Champions.
Okay.
And people right now listening going, God damn it, he's talking about that
Quake again?
But me and Jamie have been, and Jeff, our other employee, have been playing this fucking constantly.
Okay. See, this isn't bad because they're like characters. Like,
Yeah.
I was playing one where it's like human beings. Like, and when you shoot somebody, like, I got scared. When you get scared to go into the next room because you're really that nervous, like, it freaks me out. These shooter games are too realistic. I grew up with Frogger, dude.
This is like, you're always in like some sort of a castle.
Yeah.
And the people that you're shooting against, they don't look anything like a person. They look like some weird cartoon character, but the graphics are sensational. But more importantly, like, the gameplay is very precise, and you have to have like real hand-eye coordination and skills. Like, you learn things like tactics, you learn how to move around maps, you learn how to control resources. Controlling resources is giant. Like, that thing that guy just picked up, that's like 175 health, and you want to get all the armor that you possibly can. Then you also want to be like clever about weapons choices, because you're always engaging at different distances, different kinds of fights. You're like, sometimes you're stuck in like a corridor, and sometimes you're in an area where they can't shoot you, but you can shoot them if you use the right weapon.
Man, you need to bring back the old school Atari. That one red button that ran, that one red button did everything on the joystick.
No, you never killed a guy with a rail gun. Once you kill a guy with a rail gun, you'll understand.
Wait, I don't want to kill a guy with a real gun. It's not a real person. I mean, he's laughing while you do it. When I shoot Jamie, if he jumps at me and I shoot him in midair with a rail gun, we both laugh. Like, he shot me in the face the other day with a rocket. And I was like, hilarious.
Dude, in the mug. I was like, in the mug. Like, right in my face, and I exploded. Like, my whole screen just becomes a big red splatter. I'm like, fuck. It's fun.
I can't handle it, man. It's too much for me.
It seems like Quake 3 was like a really fun balance, whereas Quake 2 was a little slower. Quake 1 was way crazier, way faster, but didn't look as cool.
What is your favorite?
Champions.
That's
Quake
awesome.
Champions is the best.
Tim is happy.
It's the best.
That's awesome.
It's the best. It's everything
As it
in Quake. Yeah, it's everything in Quake, but ramped up. That's not really possible. See, because what I like is duels. I like in Quake Champions, I like playing duels. That's what's fun for me. Like, one-on-one. Like, me and Jamie would get barbecued and we'd come here and we'd play for hours, just one-on-one. You run around the map and collect your rocket launchers and your ammo and armor and shit. It's really cool to see. And these games, particularly Quake, they are unbelievably difficult to master. And it's one of the more fascinating aspects of like video game play and addiction is the complexity. Like, when you would watch, do you remember Thresh?
Oh, yeah. Thresh was the one that won my Ferrari in that first Red Annihilation tournament.
Cool. That guy was the hero back in the day of early Quake play. He was just this, what is it, Kenneth Fong? Is that his name?
Yeah, or Dennis Fong.
Dennis Fong. There he is. Yeah. There's Thresh. And I remember I would watch demos. One of the cool things about Quake was that you could, is that his Ferrari? You won the Ferrari? Let me see that.
Yeah, so that was my old Turbo 308.
Now, you turbocharged your Ferraris too, which I want to get to as well, which is pretty crazy. But so this guy was like the first real killer in Dennis Fong. There you go. First real killer in the Quake playing games, and you would be able to watch him play on demos. You would play through his eyes, so you would be able to see like how he does things and move around. It was really cool.
Some of the interesting things about Quake, where it wasn't really so clear when we were designing it, but it is a brutal game, especially in one-on-one, where a lot of modern games are much more approachable, where if you followed a lot of the Quake games, a lot of them were just blowouts, where you would get somebody that would take control of the level and they would be running their pattern, denying anyone any foot in the door, and you'd wind up with these 20-to-1 blowout games. games where there are things that you can do in game design to make it more approachable, where like if you don't have health packs where you can keep, because in a game like Quake, you go in, as long as you come out on top in the fight, you've got this little window to run around and bring your health back up. So even if you're only 5% better, you might win every engagement because you have enough time to go back, get yourself back up before you wind up re-engaging. Where in another game, if you didn't have health that would you had the ability to bring it back up, then even if somebody didn't win, if they knocked you down a whole lot, then they might get you the next time around, and scores can be much more even.
That makes sense.
Quake gameplay winds up brutal, tending towards blowouts, and very frustrating for it did not have the approachability for new players, where a lot of more modern games, things like Overwatch, can be jumped into a lot more easily, because team play is another aspect of that, where if you've got a team, you could be on the winning team even if you suck, because you might have really great players that are kind of covering for you there. You can jump in and have the chance to say, yay, I won, even if you didn't contribute at all. And you might wind up doing something. You start off being completely useless, and then you slowly work your way up to being able to contribute effectively for your team. So I can recognize some of these things now about ways to make games more approachable, but the kind of brutality of Quake was it was a taste that a lot of people really did like. It wasn't so much explicitly designed for that, but it worked out that way. And that's one of the interesting things as we look at game design today versus the old days. A lot of people fall into a sort of nostalgia trap about saying, well, the games I grew up with were the greatest games ever. And you see it with music and movies and everything. And I tend to be much more optimistic about the state of things today, where the amount of effort that goes into the modern games is extraordinary. Just the detail and all the quality on all the different levels. But there is a little sense of games are so expensive to make now, sometimes in the hundreds of millions of dollars, that they do have to be conservative. So they have to be careful to make sure that they've got something that has a broad mass appeal. And I think that is the upside of some of the older games, where they might have a little bit more of a distinct flavor. They weren't sort of focus grouped to death in the way that some of the more modern games can be.
That's interesting. Yeah, focus group to death, I'm sure, is a problem. The Quake blowouts, although that is a thing, it's so fun when you're the person blowing the other person out that it's worth learning the maps. And that's for people who don't understand what we're talking about. Quake would have, it has maps. And on those maps, like, this is where the rocket launcher is, this is where the railgun is, this is where the health is, this is where the mega armor is. And you had to know where these things were and that they would regenerate every X amount of seconds. And so you're managing not just your fighting, but you're also managing the resources. So you're running around and trying to control the map and trying to control the mega health and trying to control where the armor is, and don't let the guy get the railgun, don't let the guy get the rocket launcher. And in doing that, it's this incredible game of strategy as well as like fast twitch aiming, and there's so many factors going on.
Yeah, and the masters would have it timed such that they're just running to where it's going to spawn, and a half second before they get there, it respawns, they run over it, it's theirs, and it's gone. And the difference between the top-level players is something you see in competitive games a lot, even today, is you get the sense of the big fish in the small pond. It's like, I totally beat all of my friends' asses, or I'm the best player anybody's ever seen in my tiny little area. And then you put them in the big pond, with some of the professional players, and they get nothing. They wind up not being able to land a shot. There is that much difference. Of course, you see that in everything.